All right, recording in progress. Let's start. So, um, before we begin, we'll just make a disclaimer that Asea redox is not designed to treat or cure any condition whatsoever. We're simply providing the body with what is already native to the body and allowing it to do what it does best and heal in it and repairing it in its own way. So let's introduce Greg Evans, who has just an amazing story. Who literally, when you told me it for the first time, I was speechless. I was just so shocked. I just like my jaw was literally like, wow, holy moly. And your transformation is something that I just believe everybody needs to hear and everybody needs to know about. And I believe that your story alone will inspire and empower like literally hundreds of millions of people to believe in hope and possibility and believe in the healing power of our own body, because I feel like we've lost that piece along life. And a lot of people are giving their life and their health and their power over to somebody else. And we're here to remind people that the divine healing intelligence that the body holds within itself is so big, is so amazing. It's so beyond the human comprehension. And I'm a believer that if we just give the body what it needs to thrive and we support it at the cellular level, then literally anything is possible. So I'll hand it over to you to share and to share your journey around what life was like, before you actually found Asea and the journey you went on. So the reins are over to you, my friend.
Right, thanks, Jasmine. My health journey's been over a long period of time, probably 4 decades. In my 20s, I had a cell dividing condition on my leg. It was removed, lymph glands from my groin, and that surgery left me with a blood clot on the brain. At that stage, I started having medically uncontrollable seizures, and then they became on a daily basis. Before I had the first lot of surgery, the doctors thought I might have a cell dividing condition on the brain, so I went and did a live-in course at the Ian Gawler Foundation. In 1985, I had brain surgery, and when I went, that didn't get a positive result from that. And when I went back for tests, the doctor wasn't sure whether he'd got the problem, and he wanted to operate again. And I questioned his ability, and we didn't go ahead with that. And in 2003, I was having as many as 20 seizures a day. And at that stage of my life, when my daughter was a baby, it wasn't safe for me to nurse her. I had a blood clot removed the size of a cherry. I stopped having seizures for 2 weeks, and then they commenced again. So that was an extremely big letdown. And then I continued to deteriorate. I was on multiple medications. Besides seizures, I experienced headaches, rashes, slurred speech, double vision, anxiety, depression. One stage, the doctor had me on 3,000 milligrams of anticonvulsants a day, which affects your endocrine system. So I ended up with erectile dysfunction, sleeping disorder, high cholesterol, because all those chemicals build up in your liver, and liver is also responsible for breaking down the fats in the blood, so it can't do both. Condition of your blood is also affected, so it affects your skin. I was caused incontinence. In the finish, I was wearing sanitary pads, and at one stage I had candida that bad, all my toenails fell off. So I have no symptoms of any of those conditions. And in 2018, I was having 6 and 8 seizures a day, 1,500 milligrams of anticonvulsants a day, and wearing men's sanitary pads. Early in my 50s, I had a seizure where I fell off the back of a truck, landed on bitumen, snapped my Achilles, surgery, bedridden for 10 weeks. So in 2018, it was fairly dangerous for me not to be accompanied around the place. People used to drop me on the right side of the street because once I was walking across the street, I had a seizure and all the traffic pulled up. So took a turn and didn't have my blinker on, they used to say. So in 2018, when I was having the 6 and 8 seizures a day, the next 4 planned invasive brain procedures at Austin Hospital was to drill 10 holes in my head, implant 10 electrodes for 10 days. Then they were going to remove the electrodes, and 90 days later, they were going to do major surgery, remove brain tissue that would leave me requiring medication and full-time care for the rest of my life. And I have that in writing. A person by the name of Mike O'Gorman came into my hotel and told me about a product that worked on a cellular level. No, he didn't explain it that good, but he told me about a product that his friends were using and were getting good results. And I think he told me 4 or 5 times before I actually purchased it.
Yeah.
And once I started on the product, within 60 days, my seizure pattern changed. So I contacted the Austin Hospital and cancelled all procedures. Within 90 days, I started going periods of 30 and 40 days seizure free, and I'd started reducing the medications they're on. Within 9 months, I never experienced another seizure. Within 12 months, I didn't take any form of medication whatsoever, not even a painkiller. And in 2019, I got my driver's license back after 30 years. So it's improved the quality of my life in so many ways. I've got a grandson I could nurse, and I can even nurse my daughter. So I didn't swim for 30 years, couldn't ride bikes, couldn't get up ladders, just the everyday things that people take for granted, I was deprived of. So now I have been 3 years and 9 months without any symptoms of a seizure, 3 years and 6 months without any form of medication. I've thrown away a sleeping machine after relying on it for 20 years. And now I just like promoting this amazing product. Most people don't even know what the main part of our immune system is. The redox signaling molecule. The redox signaling molecule is acknowledged as the main part of our immune system in the 1998 Nobel Awards. And after 15 years of research, atomic medical scientist Dr. Gary Samuelson stabilised the same molecule that's naturally made inside our body, outside the body. And it works by repairing and replacing damaged cells. I've tried so many different things, but nothing else will repair and replace damaged cells. It just improves everyone's quality of life. I have 3 brain-injured children, and none of those conditions are genetic or related. One's got increased muscle tone, which is a lack of oxygen at birth or during pregnancy. One has got a spectrum disorder, which I believe is chemical damage at some stage in their life, the cell damage on the brain. And my daughter had an interruption of the blood flow to the brain at the age of 18 months, which was a real stroke of bad luck. So my daughter has no symptoms. All brain injured people become low in oxygen. When you're low in oxygen, you catch everything goes around, you end up sick and you get treated, which causes further problems. My daughter became allergic to gluten, sinus problems, and she has no symptoms of any of her conditions either. So I encourage everyone to use it. I spend a lot of time educating people on the best way to use the product. I know I learned from my own experiences. I didn't take enough to commence with. I didn't buy the gel to commence with because my order had to come from America. So when people start on it, I encourage them to use it in a nebulizer as well as drink, and using the spray bottle. Bottles that I purchase, I'll give them to everyone, and everyone gets written instructions on how to use the product. people say it's dear, and I said, well, it cost me $600 to change my seizure pattern, $1,000 to start going 30 and 40 days seizure free, 3,600 to never have another seizure, and 5,000 to never take any form of medication. And so for a person that spent $750,000 over 4 decades, it is not much money.
What was your dosage? So when you started, you said that you weren't taking enough initially. So what dosage did you end up reaching within that period, that first 12 months, to be able to give you that shift, that transformation where you were not having seizures, you're going longer periods and then eventually coming out the other side?
I didn't change it much, and I know now if I used the product better, I would have recovered quicker. I started on 60 ml twice a day, and I rang the man that told me about it and told him he'd sold me garbage. And if I hadn't bought $2,000 worth at the time, I probably wouldn't have bought any more, because I didn't use it properly in the first place, and I didn't have any gel. I rang him, and then he said, "You're not taking enough, take 240 ml a day." And that's all I ever did. But I used to take it all first thing in the morning and to finish, because it used to keep me awake. And some people, I encourage other people to do that now as well, after a period of detox, to take that bigger boost first thing in the morning on an empty stomach from overnight to get it. But I didn't use a nebulizer, I didn't use a spray bottle, and I didn't use the gel. And people on a budget definitely need to use it in a nebulizer, or if they've got autoimmune, because they won't experience the same detox problems. By getting, you can imagine someone with autoimmune that can only tolerate 30 ml twice a day. How much is getting into all the vitals through the brain, the blood, the lungs, and all your hormone producing glands through the gastric system, out of 30, what percentage out of 30 ml, whereas you're using 8 ml in a nebulizer twice a day as well, you're getting all those molecules straight into your vitals, your brain, your blood, your lungs, and all your hormone producing glands. So people on a budget or with serious health conditions or any condition, you'll get better results because the redox molecule is critical to sustain life, it's critical to maintain health, and it's critical to become healthier. And the other element in that category is oxygen, and it comes in two forms, by using air and water. And by using in a nebulizer, you're increasing the lung capacity, and lung cells repair quicker than any other cells in the body. So all of a sudden, your diaphragm and your circulation, your lungs and everything is working better to work with the redox molecules to repair all the cell damage.
So I mean, you shared with me around the nebulizer. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. So for people that may have never heard of that, can you give us a brief, or if you have it with you, like a demonstration around how it actually works?
They're basically an air pump that just vaporizes, and you put the Asea in a bowl and you breathe it in.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's best vapor. I mean, if you want, gas kills people quicker than anyone else because it's going straight in, and to heal, this is the best way to use it with a vapor.
And how long would one, so by 10 minutes, or is there a specific time frame that you would recommend that they could just lie in bed and or on the couch or wherever and have that going for them?
8 ml takes about 20 to 25 minutes, but the more you use it, the quicker you recover. That's the secret of this product. There's X amount of molecules in the bottle that repair X amount of cells, and the more of those X's you can use, the quicker you recover. Mm-hmm. I've got one person that does it on an exercise bike, because people are time poor these days, but by doing that, the whole cardiovascular is working, and so those molecules are circulating right through the body. I've got another man that does it on a treadmill. I used to just do weights while I was on it, and the electronic nebulizer is far better than the handheld battery. One, your hands free, you can do other things, but it has a more consistent air pressure to make a finer mist, which is makes those molecules more absorbable in the body.
Amazing, amazing. So it literally just gets into the body, and obviously, as you said, an autoimmune or into the brain, which, you know, the brain is a vital piece to overall and the signaling that actually happens in there.
Well, we've got three signaling systems in our body. We've got cell signaling, muscle signaling, which is through your brain and central nervous system, and when we've got all our organ signaling through our endocrine system, all our hormones. They are the natural chemical messengers in our body. We've got 8 major hormone producing glands, 5 above the shoulders, 3 in the rest of your body. They are the natural chemical messengers in your body. And when you start having all these foreign chemicals in our food, our water, our environment, and treatments, that causes that hormone chemical imbalance. So, and once I had a lady tell me she had a problem with finger was going like this, or trigger all the time, and she was going to have surgery. I said, it's a long way from the brain, your problem. And I said, if they're going to operate on that, and you see people with conditions where they shake all the time, where would they operate on them? So anything to do with muscle is all neurological. Muscle control. And that's why that breathing difficulty, when people have that breathing difficulty too, with increased muscle tone in the chest.
And taking not only the redox internally through our signature product, which is the water, but also through this, you know, the vaporizer that obviously, you know, enables it to get in, and obviously in through the brain, and we have something called the blood-brain barrier as well, and that is, I mean, that's critical to any neurological function. And if any chemicals get through that blood-brain barrier, that can wreak a lot of havoc, to say the least.
The other thing is using the gel properly, and I didn't purchase the gel in the first place. And then it's important, what they call, there's a tinsel swipe that instructs people how to use the product, and it's applying the gel to the carotid arteries, the side of the neck that supply the brain with the blood. Apply the gel to the belly button, because behind the belly button is a pituitary gland. There's 72,000 veins attached to your pituitary gland. So it's another way to get it in the bloodstream. People with autoimmune conditions, because it's good to get those molecules directly into the bloodstream, is to use an eyedropper as well, because many viruses and that actually enter the body through the eyes, because they're always open and moist, and they're going straight into the bloodstream and not through the neck. So it's using the product in all 4 mediums, you know, with the drink it, nebulizer, spray bottle, eyedropper, using the gel correctly will ensure anyone will get a recovery. Yeah,
amazing. And you know, we like to say, or that, you know, we are, and I say to people, we are just one big cellular network, one big communication tower. And if any part of that communication of any one of those cells is not functioning optimal, it's, you know, it's either diseased, or it's just not functioning in optimal state, then that actually infiltrates every single other area. And we still may be able to function, but are we functioning optimally? And so when we're actually addressing ourselves at the cellular level, in most cases, that's enough for us to actually start to see change. And I always say to people that, you know, start your redox first, get your signaling happy, get your cells communicating, get your cells healthy. And then if you still want to actually bring in a vitamin or like some additional mushrooms to be able to add another layer, that is going to be amplified, because now you have the signaling to be able to signal to the body how to use it optimally. And so I feel like do you want to add anything to that? Because I feel like that's really important in place for people.
When the redox signaling molecule is naturally made in the body, it travels around for 3 or 4 hours, and then it breaks down to the salts and water that are naturally in our body. At the age of 15, the reduction in production of those molecules is 10% a decade, which is your aging process. So by taking more molecules to build up your immune system, and your immune system determines how long you live, it actually slows down aging. So that's why that molecule is so important, because you're naturally reduced in the production of those as you age. And so that's when you take longer to heal and you become healthy, and this will maintain your health as well. So, and it just improves your quality of life. And that's what life's all about. If you've got,
and it literally doesn't matter where you're at. Like, you know, you've shared your journey around, you know, you had a severe case of your condition and how that actually affected you. And my condition was around hormones. And, you know, it doesn't matter what's going on. You don't have to have some like serious condition that's actually going on. If you simply just want to actually feel better, you know, you want to actually have a better quality of life. You want to be able to do the things that you've always wanted to do without any limitation. You know, you want to be able to be available for your kids or your grandkids. And it doesn't matter what it is. You know, often, you know, we're sharing stories around people that have had a full transformation, but even if you've got nothing severe actually going on, redox can help you no matter where you're at. And oftentimes things are developing underneath the surface that we can't see. And, you know, it can take 5 years for something to actually physically manifest. And so, you know, we are actually nipping it in the bud. And you know, prevention obviously is always better. And yeah, so speak to us now about what's the quality of life. So you spoke about your quality of life has completely changed. Like, it's probably chalk and cheese. Like, it's, you know, you probably could never have imagined it was.
it's a bit like being on a different planet, I think.
Yeah.
Well, just driving again after 30 years, being independent, not relying on people or paying taxis, or when I had a business, I basically had an extra person just to drive me around. The cost that's not even directly related to your health expenses, but just the cost of living is so much more. I swam for the first time after 30 years, 35
Amazing.
years. So that was pretty special. Then I traveled to Thailand to an Asea conference, and I wasn't able to travel on my own before. It's just unlimited what I could do and couldn't do, and use power tools and all those things that most people don't think are dangerous, but if you've got no control. See, with my seizures, I had no warning at all. When I was in it, I was totally unaware, and then took me a while to recover. Well, now you don't have to worry about any of that. Just life's life.
And life for your daughter, for your children, and then grandchildren. And it's I think there's definitely I suppose a mentality that aging is inevitable. There's nothing that we can actually do about it. And, you know, once we kind of start getting into our 40s, and then we're getting to our 50s, and then it's, you know, maybe we've only got 10 or 20 years left, and there's this expectation that things are not actually going to work properly. And we're here to, I suppose, remind people and show people that's not the case. You can be 70 and you can have the best quality of life, and you can be doing all the things that you were doing in 20. And, you know, we don't have to be limited by our bodies. We don't have to be limited by aging. We don't have to be limited by any condition, because and that's not what life's about. As you've just said, life is about living. Life is about quality of life. And when you go, yeah.
Well, your physical health and mental health go hand in hand. When you get physical problems, certainly, I think depression was the worst thing I ever suffered with, of all the conditions I had. And when you got limitations due to restrictions of physical movement and all those sorts of things, it creates havoc with your mental health, and so does all those foreign chemicals, because the endocrine system controls all your moods and emotions. And if you've got all those foreign chemicals impacting on the hormones and your blood for your moods and emotions, it plays, it's not real good. So, and my mother's 94, independent, still driving, and it's because of a physical condition. And that movement's important for your lymphatic system, for detoxing. It's important for your lungs and your cardiovascular. Oxygen, whether you're a supreme athlete or whether you've got a health condition, your recovery is based on oxygen. And that's why it's so important to have cardiovascular and your oxygen and everything working. And that's why it's so important to have the lung cells and your lungs functioning really well with the using the nebulizer.
And would you use that like every single day or just whenever you feel like it?
No, it's a main part of my Asea. I get up, I now drink about 400 ml first thing in the morning, go and have a shower, and then I jump on the nebulizer for 20, 25 minutes. When I went overseas, it was the first thing I packed because I know if I got low in the product, I wouldn't drink it all. I'd use it in the nebulizer. Because it's getting to all the vitals. So,
and we speak about how important the brain is, that liver, it's one of the most vital and important organs in all of our bodies. And when the liver is compromised, when the liver's over, it's got too many toxins trying to excrete toxins throughout the body, and it's overloaded, then that also affects every other organ. And that's why we say that detox symptoms, the redox actually has a detoxification effect. And like, what was your detox? Did you have any like wild detox symptoms when you were taking?
No, it's just, I tell most people your bowel motions will change, and that was mainly all it did with me. You do not, but I drank buckets of water for the detox, and people who get headaches from detox are not drinking enough water. It's so important. Your cells detox 4 times quicker than normal on Asea, and that's why it's so important to drink plenty of water. If you don't flush the toxins out, they are reabsorbed by cells in the body. So that means you're not getting the quickest recovery or the best value from the product. And water has also got the oxygen in it. You've got 2 forms of oxygen in the air and in the water. If you don't have enough O2, you get fatigue. If you don't have enough H2O, you dehydrate, and they're both important for maintaining cell health. And that's why water that's filtered by reverse osmosis and had the oxygen removed, you'll find it's acidic and no good for your health. It's pH of it is 4.6 and 7.3, and you need that oxygen in the H2O and not just HO. H2O. So that's about me.
Amazing. I could just go back to obviously you had tried various different things. So give us a brief like of everything that you tried. Like obviously you're on medication, obviously you went to surgery, but before you got to that point, like what was your journey before you got to that? Like what had you tried? You got to the point where it was like, I feel like I've tried everything.
Well, I had all my amalgams removed because when I was, the dentist tested he could tell which ones were radioactive with the mercury in them. So I had them all removed, and now they don't use that product anymore. And I've had some people with autoimmune conditions they get tested and they'll find they might have mercury in their system. I had chelation therapy after that to remove the heavy metals. If I'd known about Asea, I wouldn't have needed chelation therapy. We went to the Australian Institute of Human Potential for 3.5 years, where all people with brain injuries go, whether they're car accident, they experience a stroke, or they're born with lack of oxygen at birth and all those sorts of things. Not only that, we were lectured on not only the brain, but vitamins, and not to use refined salts and sugars, because that makes your body retain fluid. When you retain fluid, weakens the immune system, and and also decreases the circulation, but with that increase in with the extra fluid, and especially with brain injured people, because there's a lot of fluid around the brain to start with it, and to increase that. And that's when women have their cycles, they experience headaches more for that reason, that fluid retention. We had acupuncture, kinesiology, iridology, tried every diet. There wasn't much we didn't try. Like I said, we spent a fortune on it. On
Yeah.
health.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from my experience, I can save people time and money. And time is the most valuable resource in life, because once you spend it, you can never get it back.
And now you have just an abundance of time to be able to do what you love and share this message and share your journey and helping inspire other people to regain their health and give them a quality of life. Is there anything else you want to add or share about anything about health or redox before we wrap it up?
Well, the product doesn't fail. It's only that communication on how to use the product, or the person not committing for 90 days.
Yeah.
But if they commit for 90 days and use the product properly, it will improve their health and quality of life.